Hello and welcome back to the stream. Just a little bit of technical difficulties, just a little bit of fuckery. Yeah. Hello Dango, good to see you. Yeah, it's one of those nights. I always say I'm tired, but I guess I literally am always tired. But I had a really nice surprise today. My nan, my grandmother, she has Alzheimer's, but she rang me and she, you know, she knew who I was, and she thought it was like, you know, she didn't know what year it was. She thought I was like 18 and I had just like started university, you know, living in Sydney all by myself, and she was, you know, very concerned about that, and, you know, going to come into town and visit me, and it was very cute. But the fact that like she was lucid enough to like to know how to use her phone for one thing, like she knew how to use her mobile phone, which like she hasn't. Last time she rang me, she didn't have the phone to her ear and she was just crying, telling me she wanted me to get her out of the nursing home. And she didn't even have the phone to her ear, so I just rang my auntie who's up there, like who lives near the nursing home in like the far north coast of New South Wales, and told her what was happening. And she was like, oh, okay, well, yeah. It wasn't great, but like she rang me because she wanted me to help break her out of the nursing home. And it was so sad and it was really upsetting. But this time, like, yeah, she knew who I was, and like she was pretty lucid, even if she didn't know, you know, what year it was or anything like that. So that was nice. It was a really nice surprise because I've been thinking about her a lot. Well, I think about her all the time, but the thing is, like, if I call her and she doesn't know who I am, it could really upset her. So it was nice that she rang me. It made me really happy. She was really cute, so it was nice. Boop, boop, boop. Well, let's play the New York Times. Let's say hello to everybody first. We got Angela, we got Dango, we got Ricochet, we got Joey, we got Max Dragon, still a cool name. We got Hyperbovian, we got Joey. Did I say Joey twice? Well, lucky you, Joey. You get mentioned twice. Eee. Hello, everybody. All right, let's do the spelling bee. Let's remember to put it on the screen. Boop. There we go. Boop. Okay. We have the letters A, H, B, T, D, and R, and we have to use the letter I. Maybe we can have Habibi. It's not a word. It is in Arabic. That's pretty rude. I mean, if American English gets to be on the spelling bee and proper English doesn't, then I think they should allow Arabic. Can we have tithe? Oh, there's no E. Rabbit. We can also have rabid. Like someone that has rabies. Rabbit isn't a word. Isn't rabbit a word? Isn't that if you like have rabies or you're acting like a little bit like unhinged? People say, oh, they're acting like they're rabid. Bird. Rabbi, we can have rabbi. I bet they let rabbi, but they don't let Habibi. That's rude. Oh, I spelt it wrong. Spelt rabbit wrong. Hey, it didn't let us do it. That's so rude. Is the game over if we use all the letters? I think that's what it must be. Something is triggering it, and I haven't been able to work out what it is. But also, I haven't really tried that hard to work out what it is. But the few times where I've used all the letters in the game to spell out one word, it's ended the game in one word. So I think it must work like that. Animals holding, eat more chicken signs in a classic ad campaign. Oh, I think I've seen that. I think that's for Chick-fil-A, and the cows are holding signs saying eat more chicken. I think it's cows. I think it's you, Hyperbovian. I think it's you. Suffix with beetle or wrestle. Au revoir? I don't know, French? You have to download the app? Ugly poster. Be likely to. Core group. Vegetable combined with celery and carrot to form meripoi. I think that's onions. I don't know what it's called, but I guess it is the basis of most cooking, and it's French, so it would make sense that it's called something dumb. Handle as a sword. Wield? You wield a sword? Is that E-I-L-D or I-E-L-D? I think it's E. Dyslexia makes you sexier. Do. Better Call Saul. I've heard of that. 5 across is mania. Oh, WrestleMania. I've heard of that. I have heard of that. So this must be Better Call Saul. Ugly poster. Could be a troll. Australia versus South Africa? At what? At cricket? Eight is bound. Likely to, bound to. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh wait, it doesn't fit. There's not, yeah. But maybe they don't spell it with a U. They don't spell a lot of adieu. 6A is adieu. Oh yeah, I bid you adieu. I know that. I only know because it's in Shakespeare play. Core group. Damon of Oppenheimer. Matt Damon? Was he in that movie? Cadre? We did it! We did it! Yay! Okay. If you don't know the rules, there are 16 words and there are 4 categories and we don't know what the categories are. Rugby? Yeah. Australia hasn't been good at rugby union since 2003, I want to say. When was John Eales captain? Let's have a look. Hello, Mercurial. Good to see you. John Eels. Wallabies. Wallabies. What years were you the captain of the Wallabies, sir? I don't know. It does not say, does it? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. That's when you were born. In 1999, he became one of the first players to win multiple Rugby World Cups. When were you the captain of... Well, he became captain in 1999. I don't know. But anyway, that was the last time. You know why your name is cool, Max Dragon? Because it reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Homer changes his name to Max Power because he saw it on the hairdryer and he thought it was cool. Max Dragon sounds like a power name, like Max Power. And that's, have I been playing Rattle? I was going to try and play it, but I need to, like, yeah, I need to practice probably. Get over my bimbo-ness. But yeah, my point is, Australia hasn't been good at rugby union in a while. How long ago is that? Like 20 years ago? I don't know. I'm not good at maths. Anyway, not to get sidetracked. But you know what we are the best in the world at? We're the best in the world at rugby league. The Kangaroos always win the Rugby League World Cup. And that's the game that we mostly play. It's only like little rich private school boys that play rugby union in Australia. But everybody else plays rugby league. And our biggest, like, one of our biggest sports is rugby league. It's not rugby union. It's not like in New Zealand where rugby league is like their national sport. So they're heaps good at it. We play rugby league because we're real men and we like to get drunk and fight each other. Even though I'm a little girl, I like to watch men fight each other. It's hot. Anyway, getting back to the game. All right, so we have 16 words. There are 4 categories. We have to put 4 words into each category. We don't know what the categories are. So we have to find 4 words that might form a category, and then we have to see if the category that we thought was correct was correct. And yes, it really is that hard. Who has the most World Cups? You know what? I would have no idea. I have not watched rugby union since, I don't know. I don't even know what year the last time I saw one is. Make batty boys okay at rugby again? All right. So our words are train, backpack, racket, caboose. Ooh. A train and a caboose are the same thing, aren't they? Hubbub, seat, bustle, stick, bouquet, bat, tail, cookbook, mullet, veil, knitwig, and backside. A caboose and a backside are the same thing, I think. Tail, maybe. Bustle is like the thing that Victorian ladies used to wear under their dress to make their bums, like, you know how like you see photos of Victorian ladies and it looks like they have a really big bum because they used to wear a thing called a bustle. Because I used to be a goth girl, so sometimes I used to wear a bustle skirt and a corset to get around town, you know, super practical stuff in the middle of an Australian summer. But, you know, sometimes you got to do these things for fashion. I'll show you what a bustle skirt is. Hang on. Fashion. Turn to the left. Fashion. Turn to the right. Ooh, ooh. Fashion. Oh, David Bowie's dead. Now I'm sad. You're going to show what it looks like? They're not showing what it looks like. They're just showing a bunch of wannabe goth girls. Stop it. Anyway, it's a big fake bum that you wear under your skirt to make it look like you have a fake, like a big booty. Try turning. What do you think about caboose, bustle, tail, and backside? Or nah, let's see what everybody else's guesses are. How are we all doing? I think we're all doing good. Chat will have to answer for themselves, but I'm doing all right. No, I was wrong. They all mean bum. They all do mean bum. They do. Okay, veil. I got nothing. What does chat say? Bat, racket, mallet, sticks, all sports equipment. That is a true fact. Mallet. Bat. Stick. Racket. Used to hit a ball in sport. Yay, we did it. We did it. Okay. Backside, back. Hustle. Hubbub, cookbook, backpack, and nitwit. What's the theme? What's all the hubbub? I've heard Americans say like, what's all the hubbub? What's all the... I don't know. Words that rhyme internally. Okay. Nitwit. Rhyming compound words. Okay. Hello, Miss Leading. Good to see you back in chat. Maybe that's a wedding theme. Bouquet, veil, tail, and bustle. Caboose, seat, train, and backside. I don't know. Seat, backside, caboose, and bustle. A bustle on a wedding dress? I mean, I guess some people have a bustle on a wedding dress. Maybe bouquet, veil, tail, and bustle. Caboose, caboose, seat, backside, and tail. Well, it's got to be one of those combinations. Let's try this one. No. All right, let's try the other one. Caboose, seat, backside, and tail. Derriere. I knew one of them was about bums. Okay, this one's about weddings. Bouquet, veil, train, and bustle. Wedding dresses. Components of a bride's ensemble. Okay. We did it. We did it. We knew it was all about the bums all along. Yum num 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 num. What's a train? A train is like the long part of the wedding dress that like drags on the floor behind the bride. The train is like, you know, the thing that sort of follows the bride along. It's I'll show you a bridal train, and they're really pretty. I don't think dresses look bridal without them, to be honest. Bridal. They get very dirty though. They get very dirty. Yeah, this is a train. See this bit that like kind of follows the bride and drags along the floor? That's a train. Choo-choo. Exactly. Exactly. It's what it's all about in the bridal industry, baby. That's what it's all about. Wah, 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 wah. All right. Should we watch some news? You're too dumb for this? No, you're not too dumb for this. If I'm not too dumb for this, then you're not too dumb for this, okay? Look, I'm not the brightest crayon in the box, okay? But you know, we do what we can. We do what we can. Well, we're gonna watch some news. So we got. Oh, maybe we should start off with the Epstein stuff. That's kind of ooh. Is it sunny today? I would not have a clue. I would not have a clue. It was cold. It's winter where I am. It was bloody cold. I can tell you that much. I watched this today because it was in my like For You page or whatever. But this guy is saying that Putin has Epstein's tapes, copies of Epstein's tapes. News is politics. So you all follow Jesus? I'm Catholic, so yes, I would say that I follow Jesus. But I think there's people from all different religions in the chat misleading. I think everybody you know, has a different religious outlook, and some people aren't religious, I think. Oh, it's not a bad question. I was just answering it. I thought you wanted an answer, so that's why I answered. Yeah. Putin has Epstein's recordings of Prince Andrew, royal biographer claims. Agnostics be like, maybe, yeah. I mean, that's the point. That's the definition. Toki Doki Literature Club.
Putin, according to this story, has the material.
Andrew, welcome to Times Radio.
Well, very nice to talk to you.
Look, the book is subtitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York. So let's start with the rise before we get onto the fall. It might be hard to remember now, but he was a dashing young prince. Charles once half-jokingly referred to him as the one with the Robert Redford looks. He was a helicopter co-pilot in the Falklands War. Andrew was a royal heartthrob once, wasn't he?
Absolutely. I mean, and actually he was being pushed forward as the future of the monarchy. I mean, there were worries that perhaps with Charles's marital problems that, you know, Andrew would have to step into the breach, and they put him up to do various...
I'm just going to state here for the record, none of the royal family are good looking, nor have they ever been good looking. Let the records show that I have corrected. No one was hot. There were no hotties, okay? Let's
various events, but absolutely came back from the Falklands War as his royal heartthrob. There were books about him and lots of profiles, and you know, he was seen as a bit of a cheeky chappy, but people like.
Thank you for following Zaglol, Lur, however you say your name. Thank you.
Like that. I mean, in certain parallels with Harry. And the fall, I have to say, was gradual. I mean, it was really only with Epstein and later, and I suppose the criticisms of him as special trade representative in the early 2000s, that things really began to go wrong.
We'll come to that fall in just a moment, but just to stick on the glory days, as if we can call them that. I mean, he had relationships with many glamorous women. There was the actress Koo Stark, there was the former Page 3 model. You know, the tabloids kind of loved him, right?
They did, absolutely.
Page 3 models just show their boobies. That's all they do. Page 3 models just, I don't know which newspaper in the UK it is, but they just show their boobies. And, I I don't know. I don't think that showing your boobies necessarily means that you're hot. I mean, sure, okay.
You know, he was highly attractive to women. And,
no, he wasn't. Yuck.
To his mother, and you know, I think there was a very carefully narrated story that was presented, but people kind of bought into that. In fact, it turned out to be much more of a loner, much more of a sort of very complex being, and you and I and he indeed are products of Scottish public schools, so we have some idea of that sort of world. I was a direct contemporary of his, and so was picking up stories even when he was you know, at school, and he wasn't popular at school. He was seen as entitled and pompous and arrogant, and I think
Prince Andrew got bullied.
Perhaps that he couldn't always trust people, and therefore he kind of withdrew. And he was a bit of a loner. So that, you know, there's two sides to him. There's this macho womanizer, and this much more sort of, I would say, depressive figure who hides away in his room.
So his marriage to Sarah Ferguson in 1986, it looked like a sort of fairy tale wedding. You know, she was seen as unpretentious, unstuffy, a sense of humour, and seen as this sort of massive asset. But you're right, it didn't take long before she began to be seen as a liability instead. Yeah,
I mean, you know, it is interesting how quickly it unravelled. I think the feeling was, you know, if they'd been allowed to...
She has a toe fetish. Sarah Ferguson has a toe fetish.
Fetish. Husband because he wasn't there. The palace. She rather enjoyed all the perks that came from being a member of the royal family, took advantage of them. And, you know, things, I think Paul Burrell talks about her being someone in a sweetie shop and just getting carried away.
Sweetie shop?
You know, though there had been a very strong physical attraction between them, I think that seems to have ended quite quickly. And
you don't know who any of these people are. So Prince Andrew was King Charles's younger brother. So I think the eldest was Charles, and then there was Anne, and then there was Andrew, and then there was Edward. But he was supposedly he's the one that's on the Epstein list, right? That Virginia Guthrie sued and got like $10 million from him, and then she died a few months ago in a bus crash in Queensland. So yeah, that's who Prince Andrew is. And they're just talking about Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. Sarah Ferguson, you may know her as the Duchess of York, or she's like, you know, colloquially known in the media as Fergie. She's like a red-headed lady. She's Duchess of York. You would have seen her at like the supermarkets and like, you know, like the women's gossip magazines at the counter, like Women's Day and all those kind of gossip magazines that like all the bored housewives read. Yeah, that's who they're talking about. They're talking about Prince Andrew, and this is a guy that was the biographer for Prince Andrew, and so talked to lots of sources, and he's had sources tell him that Putin has Epstein's recordings of Prince Andrew. So that's why we're watching this, because there's some dirt on what other world leaders also have copies of Epstein's tapes. And it's really interesting when you line up what he says with what's happened in the last 10 years. I think it's all related to people trying to keep the Epstein tapes from coming out, actually, which is why I wanted to play this. But yeah, I just thought everybody knew who like the Duchess of York and Prince Andrew were. But I mean, I don't know. I'm a gossiper. I like to gossip, so... I also watched The Crown on Netflix. It was actually good. I recommend it.
I talk in the book from sources I talked to that, you know, there were affairs reasonably early in the marriage. And she had a well-publicised affair with this man, Steve Wyatt, and then with John Bryan. And these were people who gave her sort of emotional stability and security in a way that her husband didn't seem to manage.
I mean, you write about a huge number of affairs really quite early on, and they announced their separation in 1992. 5 months later, there were those photos of her toes apparently being sucked in Saint-Tropez by a financial advisor that were on the front pages, which at the time was one of the lowest points ever for the royal family, right?
Yes, you know, and the poor woman was at Balmoral when the newspapers you know, broke the story. I think in some ways, you know, this is a story about sex and money, but
the gossip magazines next to the checkouts are still there, but like they're in like a little section before you go into the self checkouts. There's like some shelves that have the magazines and like some Mars bars and stuff like that. The gossip magazines are still there because occasionally I'll walk past and I'll be like, ooh, what's happening to Carl Stefanovic and his missus? Or like, ooh, what's happening with this person? Because I'm like, I don't like go out of my way to read gossip, but if, you know, if I see it out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, ooh, I must know. I must know what this. I must know what. Must know what this is, you know. I need to know. I'm nosy. I'm a nosy girl.
It's the money which is the more important thing. And I think that's the real scandal. The way that they've both, she and her husband, or ex-husband, have leveraged their royal position for personal financial gain.
Yeah, I mean, the book sort of amply demonstrates that neither of them could make anything like enough money to support their lifestyle. What was the reason for that? Was that because they weren't prepared to work hard enough, or was it that they just didn't have much going for them? Was it, in Andrew's case, was it an inability to find a place outside the armed forces?
I think, you know, Andrew signed up for it as a long-term career into the Navy. I think he enjoyed it. It gave him a structure which he needed and discipline.
Get to the goss.
Members of the royal family.
Hello, defects.
And he couldn't get up to quite so much mischief. So he didn't really have opportunities to make money until he became a trade representative in 2001. But I mean, she, I think, was clearly taking advantage of her position pretty early on. I mean,
I should have probably time-stamped where the goss is on this, but they're talking here about how Prince Andrew was a trade representative for, like, the royal family gave him a job as, like, a trade ambassador for the UK. And that's going to come up later as to why Prince Andrew and Epstein became fast friends, right? Because obviously Epstein wanted access to a lot of foreign dignitaries and a lot of, you know, people with power, and obviously Prince Andrew being like a trade ambassador for the UK obviously put him in the room with lots of like CEOs and, you know, oligarchs and like captains of industry, all those types of people. So that's like kind of why it's pertinent.
From the time she was writing her budgie books and beginning to go on QVC and other things. So, and she was very successful. She made large sums of money, but the problem is she spent at a quicker rate than she could earn. And they had these folies de grandeur. They'd move with international jet setters, and they kind of thought they could keep up with them. And however much you're being paid to give speeches and to endorse products, you're not going to keep up with some of these multimillionaires.
They're both, I mean, their behaviour in even sort of behind closed doors, they both come across as incredibly thin-skinned, incredibly demanding. But were the demands they made of their staff any more ludicrous than royals generally? You know, there's the famous story of the then Prince Charles and his toothpaste and so on. Is this not pretty normal royal behaviour?
Well, some royals, I mean, I think you're right. Charles is like that. You never hear these stories about Princess Anne or Prince Edward. We never heard them about Prince Philip or the Queen. So.
Hello, Farron. Hello, Defect. Hello, Stuffies. Hello, all the new people that have joined chat. We're watching a video about how Putin has some of Epstein's tapes. Yay.
So I think certain royals, yes, of course, they have this sense of entitlement. But, you know, this is one of the odd things. The three siblings are very different from Andrew. They do their public duties. They keep under the radar. They haven't really had scandals associated with them. Everything seems to be focused on Andrew, who's a very, very different character. And did he have a different upbringing? Was he spoiled by his mother? Or is it just the genes are very different? And he is just a different sort of individual. Who knows? But the fact is he wasn't disciplined and he sort of felt he could get away with it.
And he does seem to have had terrible rages, bullying rages. You're right that he called one palace member an effing imbecile for not referring to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, by her full title. There's a story about him becoming incandescent with rage because a fillet of beef hadn't been cut up in the right way. Did nobody try and rein him in at any point?
No, I mean, I think he's surrounded by sycophants. People are scared. I think if people do speak truth to him, they don't last very long. I was told, you know, one of the private protection officers said that, you know, if you said anything, that it was said, well, do you want to go back on the beat in Brixton? And they were sort of put in their place. And I think that was the real problem. But yeah, absolutely, he has a very short fuse. And I mean, lots and lots of stories. He treats staff very badly, doesn't seem to see them as...
How do I have the energy to watch this content? It's just exhausting. I don't know. You know, I just think if the general public, you know, can put all the pieces together and put pressure on people, we can get a hold of this list, and then we can put a lot of rich, gross people in jail. I mean, it's probably wishful thinking, but if you don't kind of try and hold people account that you're in bed, you have a little flu, you're having the day off. Oh, that's what you meant by your last comment. You're getting somebody to deliver your food. Gotcha.
Other human beings. Someone said he believed in the divine right of kings, and I think that's right.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a divine right for him, of course. Let's turn to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and how that began, because he says he met him in 1999. You're right, that he'd actually known him for a decade by then. You say that Andrew was drawn into his net and was easy prey for a rattlesnake like Epstein. What did each get from the other? Why did this relationship even begin?
Well, it began really through Ghislaine Maxwell, who I suppose was friendly with Andrew, in fact was an occasional lover, and I think she felt that he could be useful to Epstein.
Ew! Did you hear that? Ghislaine. I'm going to call her Ghislaine because it has the word jizz in it, and I want to call her that. I know that like that's not how you pronounce it, but I'm just going to call her Ghislaine. Apparently Ghislaine and Prince Andrew were having it off. So like, see, these rich people, they don't even have like, they're all open relationships. They're all like swingers. They're all creeps. And let's not even get into that. And if they were doing that with adults, just adults, okay, it's still kind of gross, but whatever. But then they got to get like freaky, bring children and stuff into it. Freaking weirdos. Anyway, I digress. Let's go.
And Andrew felt that Epstein could be useful to him. As he said in his Newsnight interview, you know, he introduced him to useful people. And of course, Epstein paid a lot of bills, and he also introduced Andrew to a ready supply of women.
Yuck.
Epstein
imagine having to sex Prince Andrew. Disgusting.
Andrew is a trade envoy on some of these trips and introduced him to business. So it was a win-win situation for both of them, and this is why it's so appalling, really, that the government have refused to reveal the files for Andrew's time as special representative, which would say who were on these trips.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that Epstein called Andrew his Super Bowl trophy and was obviously very, cherished that relationship, found it very useful. You also say that compromising material on Andrew might have been passed to Israel's Mossad Secret Service, to Saudi Arabian authorities, even to Colonel Gaddafi's Libyan intelligence services by Epstein. Is there any proof of that?
Well, that's what I was told. I mean, my sources said that.
Did you hear that? Mossad and Libya. So Mossad and Libya might have also had copies of some Epstein tapes. Now, we know what happened in Libya. We know what happened in Libya when, funnily enough, Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. And what's the money that both her and Bill were also in those tapes? You know, the famous Benghazi quote, we came, we saw, he died. We all know what happened to old mate Gaddafi. So yeah, look, I just, he's a journalist of some report. So if he says he's got sources that have told him this, I don't doubt it. Like, obviously journalists don't go around exposing their sources. But look, I don't know. He seems credible. He seems credible to me. He's been interviewed by the Times, so I don't know. Look, the British are very, very classist and very elitist, so they're just not going to let some random, like, citizen journalist come on. I mean, even though a lot of times these days the citizen journalists are actually the ones actually doing journalism, but that's besides the point, I guess, in this instance. Look, I believe that this guy has sources. I do.
That this material was collected. We know that Epstein filmed people in his houses. This film was collected by the FBI. It's still with the FBI. It goes back to 2006. But a man called Mark Dugan, who was a Palm Beach policeman, was worried that this stuff would be destroyed or never.
So he was just saying a Palm Beach, which I assume is in Florida, the Florida Palm Beach, a police officer called Mark Dugan. So just gonna remember that name just in case it comes up in the future, which I think it will. I think a lot of people are gonna pull at this thread and see what comes loose, because I found this really, really interesting when I watched this at lunch today.
and he took some of it and went to Russia. And according to the
I think it's Dugan, like Dougian or En or An. I'm not sure. I don't think it's Dugan. I think he said Dugan. Maybe it's like Scottish or something. It sounds like it could be Scottish or Irish. That would be my guess.
MI6 and a story in the Sunday Times, this material was passed to one of Putin's right-hand man. So Putin, according to this story, has the material.
I mean, what would the Russians? The
You think it's
Israelis,
Hadouken?
what would they hope to get out of it? In what way would sort of compromising material on Andrew have been important to them? Because I don't think he's ever been considered.
See you, Delta. Hope you have a good night's sleep. Hey, Catzilla, good to see you again.
A particularly powerful person in this country.
No, it's a good question, and I just don't know. You wouldn't think he would hold secrets, so clearly he may have had information as a naval officer. He may have picked up information being briefed for his role as special trade envoy. I can only speculate. But you're right. I mean, he didn't have the top secrets, but it may be that they felt that he had information about just gossip about people that could be useful, people's vulnerabilities. Who knows? I mean, I did a book on Guy Burgess, and Guy Burgess was very adept.
So just to reiterate, like former points, just to I guess emphasize former points. So we've got pretty good sources, pretty reliable sources, people that would, have access to this type of information, say Putin, Gaddafi, and Mossad have Epstein's tapes. It's really interesting if you look at the dynamics, especially under Trump, if you look at the Putin-Trump dynamics, there's one person that Trump isn't bullying and isn't, needling and isn't trying to assert himself over. And I wonder if that's because Putin's got Trump's Epstein tape, or, whatever it is that Epstein had on Trump. I wonder if he knows that Putin has that. I wonder if, a file was handed to him on a USB stick or something like that. And by an operative, it was like, we have the video. And yeah, I don't doubt it. Clinton's subpoenaed in the Epstein probe. Dude, the Clintons are up to their eyeballs in everything. And never forget that Hillary Clinton is the one that killed Harambe. She told them to pull the trigger. She killed Harambe. Never forget. Rest in peace, Harambe. We will always love you. Rest in peace, my sweet prince.
Even though he was a pretty junior official at picking up information that could be used by the Russians. So, particularly things like black propaganda. So, who knows? And we won't know until someone, goes public on.
That was just a meme in 2016, Catzilla. I don't think she actually did, but it was funny to blame her for it at the time. But yeah, rest in peace, Harambe, my sweet prince.
What there is, we have some idea, or how it's used. I mean, the other question is, why has no one used this material? They're just sitting on it waiting. And in some ways, would it matter now if a sex tape of Prince Andrew turned up? Would anyone care?
Harambe did have Hillary's emails, and that's why they shot him. You're right, Hyperbovian. It's not too late for us to try and get justice for Harambe. Who's with me? We march on the Capitol. I mean, that didn't go well last time, especially considering I doubt I would even be let into America. They would just look at my social media and be like, yeah, this chick's not coming in. But that's okay, because I don't want to go there. I just want to try In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A and whatever. But I mean, we have pretty good food in Australia, so and also I like being skinny. Trump has the National Guard in the Capitol right now. Yeah, he would.
Look, the images of Sarah and Andrew have in some ways sort of been reversed since the early days of their marriage. He's now a pariah. She gets some credit from the public for standing by him. They say they're the best of friends. They still live together at the Royal Lodge. I mean, given their sort of extensive extracurricular love lives that we believe about over the years,
yeah,
it's a fairly extraordinary story, fairly extraordinary relationship, isn't it?
Well, it is odd because
horny old people, stop it.
Separated in 92 and divorced in 96, partly forced by the Queen, who just felt that
yeah,
it was getting embarrassing. But,
It
you know,
is
they were
embarrassing,
given to
Lizzie. You
take care
tell
of their
them.
children.
Yuck.
She hangs limpet-like onto the royal family because, of course, that's her whole raison d'etre. And you know, she moved back into Sunninghill and then eventually to Royal Lodge because it was too expensive to live separately. And I think they are good friends. You know, quite often that happens. People get divorced, but they remain friendly. And I think
So
what's
stay
notable is
married
that
then,
sort of hinted
God.
at times they would get back together. I don't think that was ever on the cards, but it was good for their public profile.
His life today sounds pretty bleak. You know, he spends all his time indoors watching TV, occasionally venturing out for a ride. But
That
as you
sounds
say,
like
he still lives
heaven.
in
I want to
Royal
watch
Lodge,
TV.
30-bedroom Royal
Prince
Lodge.
Andrew,
And you question
let me
how
have
he's
your
able
life
to
without the kid
afford it,
diddly,
obviously,
minus the kid
being
diddly.
charged much rent for it by you know.
I want to live in a
by the royals
castle,
who
watch
own it. But, I mean,
TV all day.
are there still question marks over where his money comes from, or did he just sort of inherit it all from his mother?
Oh, I think huge question marks. I mean, royal finances are very opaque. I mean, Sunday Times and Channel 4 have done investigations here. It's really hard. We don't know what goes into wills. We don't know what's passed down.
Yeah, I'll have a look at Rattle after we finish with some news, some current affairs. We will have a look at Rattle.
But you know, I think it would be surprising if he didn't have money from trust funds going back over several generations, that the Queen didn't provide him with something to make sure he was okay. We know from some of the stuff that's appeared that he has been making money with commissions on doing business. He was making money on Pitch at the Palace. We've seen some of his his companies, which you know have had large sums of money come into them and go out. And we know that Sarah Ferguson has a rent for 2 properties in Belgravia, which I think is £250,000 a year. So we have some idea of money's coming in. The problem is, I think there's a huge amount of money's going out with a huge staff. The upkeep of Royal Lodge must be expensive, even if there's a peppercorn rent. But they sold their Swiss chalet for a large sum of money. You would think there might be something left over from that. But he had to pay Geoffrey, and who knows if a lot of money went towards that, or if the Queen contributed. So.
Did he pronounce Jeffrey as Geoffrey? Ooh, Geoffrey. I had to pay my friend, my good fellow, Geoffrey Epstein. Ooh.
It's a real mystery, and whether he's paying for security. You know, I've long argued that there needs to be a little bit more.
You're lost on this vid. So this guy was Prince Andrew's biographer, and he's got a lot of sources that say that Putin has copies of the Epstein tapes, and also Gaddafi had copies of the Epstein tapes, and also Mossad have all the Epstein tapes, according to the sources that he has. That's basically the sum of it. And he's just talking about Prince Andrew and Fergie, the Duchess of York, being like sex freaks or whatever. Being like horny old people stealing money from the taxpayer or something. I don't know. Hopefully we get back to the Goths.
Openness about royal finances, and there should really be a royal register so that we have some idea of what they're doing on the side to make money, and whether this really is compatible with their royal status.
Given the extent of the bad behaviour you document over the years, I suppose I should say you allege over the years, both on a sort of business front, money front, dodgy contacts, but also the huge number of affairs he's alleged to have. Like, you know, I think you're right, about 12 affairs in the first year.
Anyway, I think that's the Epstein stuff. If that's the Epstein stuff, that's all we're really interested in. We don't really care about where disgusting old Prince Andrew sticks his disgusting old man willy. Like, gross. Bye. Bye. Farmers are angry about new emergency services levies. I think this is in Victoria. Be nice to farmers, okay? Some of them are really hot. And that's all I want to say.
Farmer Tony Holt owns more than 1,000 hectares of agricultural land.
Ooh, that's a lot of land.
Millions of Victorians, Tony is facing a hefty rise to his rates notice because of a new state levy.
We're going to push back on it, and we're not going to pay it.
From the
Oh, sheep! I want road slam.
In the Melbourne suburb of Richmond, there's also anger. This time from a mayor who doesn't want to collect it on behalf of the Victorian state government.
My job is not to do Jacinta Allen's dirty work. If it gets so bad that all we can do is just have a town hall with a flag at the top and basically just vacuum clean the local residents on behalf of Jacinta Allen, close the friggin' council down, because I don't want to be part of it.
The controversial...
Is he Irish? What was that accent? It wasn't Australian. I mean, he sounds like he's lived in Australia for a minute. But did he sound Irish? I think he sounded Irish.
Tax is called the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund and will raise hundreds of millions of dollars for a cash-strapped state government. The original Fire Services Property Levy exclusively funded the state's two major firefighting bodies, the volunteer-based Country Fire Authority and Fire Rescue Victoria. Under the newly named Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund, it will now be expanded to fund 7 different agencies, including CFA and Fire Rescue Victoria.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I'm Ali.
Jacqueline Symes is Victoria's treasurer.
Every dollar that is raised from the Emergency Services and Volunteer Fund goes to...
I mean, if the state's broke, the state's broke. It has to collect money somewhere. And ratepayers, don't forget, are property owners in Australia. You don't pay rates unless you own property. And does that suck? Yeah. But if you own a house, like, for example, in Richmond, you probably are worth at least 3 million, because how much is your house worth? Like, the houses there aren't cheap. And I get that farmers are asset rich and cash poor. I get like they don't always have, you know, liquid cash. I get that. I do. But let's look. Realestate.com. Richmond, Victoria. How much is a house? I think just the flats there are like $500,000. Anyway, it's kind of hard to make me feel sorry for rich people. Oh, you can get a 3-bedroom for 1.3. Did the prices crash? Okay, 2.6, 2.8. That is cheaper than I thought. Oh, it's an auction? Oh yeah, if it's an auction, it'll go for heaps more than that. You're right. You're right. These are all auctions. Yeah, look, 2.4. 2.4 for a my point is, like, these people, you know, they're not skint.
Emergency services.
Tony Holt and his wife Alex are from Wedderburn, northwest of Bendigo. They run a crop and sheep farm.
We're very proud of what we do.
Their property is not under one title, and that's when calculating the new Emergency Services Levy becomes complicated. The new levy is calculated by adding a fixed charge that varies by property type and a variable charge. This is calculated using a property's capital improved value.
We've got about 25 titles. What we're led to believe we'll be exempt on one, or we'll be able to access the subsidy on our place of residence, but all the other titles will be up for the new levy.
We've interviewed Tony. He's a farmer with 25 titles. Is it fair that he has charged the levy on every single one?
Look, just to be clear, the Fire Services Property Levy, which has applied for more than a decade, recommendation from the Royal Commission following Black Saturday fires, has applied in the same way that we are applying the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund. What's changed for individual property owners is the rate across many various properties.
In May, the state government announced farmers impacted
She didn't answer the question.
by the drought will pay a reduced levy for this year.
The fee bill for us.
Oh, they have scones with whipped cream. Imagine that. Imagine that you have a farm and you get to have scones with whipped cream. Delicious. Oh, Joey is sleepy.
To maintain our animals, and that is just astronomical, and I think our bill's running at about $75,000.
is it unfairly targeting farmers?
Look, 73% of the funds that the Emergency Services Volunteer Fund will be raised from metropolitan Melbourne. This is proportionate to population between city and country.
Can you guarantee you won't increase this tax?
Look, the rates are set each and every year, and the matter for a treasurer each and every year. In relation to any increases, there.
I mean, with the increase in fires and the increase in natural disasters, I can definitely see that the SES and the CFA and, you know, the fire services and stuff like that would be under more strain. I can't see how they wouldn't, need more funding. You're so tired of dumb questions from journos. Yeah, they're not smart people. They're just well-connected people. She's related to somebody. They all are.
They're things that I'll be taking advice and consulting broadly on.
But can you guarantee there won't be an increase while you're treasurer?
I'm not prepared to make pre-announcements.
The feedback to council directly from our community was one of, please help us. We don't want to pay this.
Daniel Straub is the mayor of Loddon Shire.
Good afternoon.
Which is Tony's local council.
How are you guys?
He says 70% of the community are farmers. Many have told him they will not pay the levy.
I can't say that at this point in time it'll bankrupt Loddon Shire, but it will be a huge task to find that money out of our reserves, that's for sure.
The new levy means Loddon Shire will be collecting an extra $5.2 million from about 6,000 ratepayers. Mayor Straub says if those ratepayers can't afford or refuse to pay, the council is ultimately responsible for the shortfall.
That will mean that we won't be able to spend that money on projects that have already been maybe announced or earmarked to be announced.
And it sucks. Governance is very, very complicated, especially, you know, state government is obviously like you've got your local government and you've got the state government. It's like it's, you know, apart from COAG money, like where do they think this like money is coming from? The states are supposed to, you know, run schools, run hospitals, do all these things, and like I don't know, like I think these farmers, if there were bushfires, they would want a robust, fully funded, you know, fire service, a fully funded CFA. They would want them to have the latest equipment. They would want them to have the fire dumping choppers. They would you know, they would want all that stuff. And unfortunately it all costs money. I don't know, it sucks. I would hate to pay money. I really would. You know, if I was a farmer, I would hate to pay money. You know, farmers have a pretty tough go of it, especially in Australia with, you know, droughts and floods and locusts and God knows what else, fires. It's, you know, it's pretty tough. It's a pretty tough life. But yeah, shit costs money. It freaking sucks, but it does. It costs money. You know, fire engines and water dumping choppers and all these things, they cost money. And you're bloody grateful that they're there when your shit catches fire.
Announced if we have to do that, and that won't be a sustainable model for any local government to continue to do that.
We are legislated to collect any levy that the state government wants us to collect.
Jennifer Anderson is the president of the Municipal Association of Victoria.
Well, what happens is we collect all the amount that we've put in a rates notice, which is your council rates.
And maybe the federal government can earmark some money for, you know, natural disaster management, which would, you know, cover flood and fire and storms and all that. And that could go towards the SES and the CFA and the fire department and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Like, I don't know, there's probably ways that it can be mitigated or that the costs can be split. I don't know. I would have to look at the numbers and I don't have the time or patience for that right now. So I'm just gonna talk in generalities and out my bumhole. We might play Rattle after this if Joey's still around. That might stop Joey from going to sleep.
And any of the state taxes. So if they choose to pay some, then we must apportion some of that money to go to the state government, which means we get less in rates.
Will you be chasing councils that can't get that levy money from their ratepayers?
That will be a matter for councils.
They're worried that this will really dip into services and things that they provide for the community. Are you concerned that communities will go without?
No, I don't see evidence of that.
Have you budgeted for a shortfall if the councils can't pay you this levy?
As I said, councils will be recouping rates as they always have, and I'll have any of the conversations in relation to concerns they've got about that.
Flinders Street Station.
In the city, councils are also finding themselves caught in the middle between the state
Geyser
government and ratepayers. Inner City Mayor Stephen Jolly will pay around $200 more on his rates bill.
I live in an apartment in Fitzroy. 21% of my rate bill now goes to just...
He's just boasting now. I live in an apartment in Fitzroy. I sniff my own farts. All right, mate, good for you. Calm down.
And not to the local town hall.
7:30 approached some inner city councils who gave their projections on how much they will be forced to collect. The City of Melbourne projects its ratepayers will pay an extra $55 million. At Stonington City Council, that figure is $19.7 million, and the City of Yarra, an extra $14.6 million.
What about the western suburbs?
And to residents.
They didn't show any of the inner city western suburb councils, and that's rude. That's rude. Why are they always classist against people in the western suburbs? Every time.
Not just to ratepayers, but also to renters, because you can imagine every landlord's just going to handball this onto rents.
Whee!
Back on the farm, Tony Holt still hopes the state government will back down.
Just feels like rural Victoria is getting forgotten about, and the only way we can get our voice back into metropolitan Melbourne is to get there and do some rallies.
Oh, they got a protest. Let's go find a farmer husband, guys. Let's see if there's any hot farmers in the city. Should we play Rattle? Let's play Rattle. Oh, where is it? It's here. Rattle Quest. I'll skip the tutorial. 20th century genius in the field of mortal. Change one letter to get a passageway. Change one letter in mortal to get something wound. But a mortal wound is a thing. First name of mortal, full name of mortal on a table. Whole school class that covers the study, among other things. Kitchen product, nickname. Okay. What is a coil called in the US? No. Yeah, I don't know how to play this game. I just don't understand the concept. I know I have to, like, answer one of them, but... You have the answers from your run if I want a hint. But the issue is that I'm dumb. Change one letter to get a something wound. But a mortal wound is a wound, isn't it? Reverse the middle 4 letters to get a guard. Only one of the clues applies. Okay. Which one? Wound as in spun? I need to watch someone play this. I think I'm too dumb. Portal? Oh yeah, portal is a passageway. Change one letter in portal to get something wound. Round wound? Alright, I'll try that. Oh. "20th century genius in the field of portal." 20th century genius in the field of portal. 20th century genius. Who are the 20th century geniuses? Einstein? I don't know. I just don't fundamentally understand how. Pronounce wound like round. Wound. Oh, wound. Coil. Coil. Coil and wound, right? High school class that covers the study of portal. Physics? Physics? Doesn't physics cover the study of portal? I need to watch someone play this, I think. When we have shuffled off this mortal coil. So this one used the clue. Okay. Hatch. That's how to pronounce the... Okay, well... Sure. Oh, I feel really sick. I feel really, really nauseous. Full name of something on a table. High school class that studies your mum. Reverse a little Patrol? Yeah, a patrol is a guard. That works. "20th century genius in the field of patrol. Change one letter in patrol to get something. Wound. Change the second letter in patrol to get something that goes in the car. First name of patrol." Do I want the word? I don't know. I just fundamentally, like, don't understand what I'm doing. Change one letter. Okay. So not all the clues are relevant, only one of the clues is relevant, and I don't know what it is. Is that what it is happening? Okay. And I don't know what the clue is. Like, clues are out of order. Okay. Petrol. So the game is to use one of the clues to transform your word. Yeah, I mean, I've gathered that. I just don't know if I'm, like, alert enough to play it. I just kind of think, you can also see how many letters the new word will have. Okay. Three letters. Three letters. This kitchen product. What petrol is called in the US? Gas. Okay. 7 letters. High school class that covers the study of gas. Chemistry? Is that 7 letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it is not. So it's not that. High school classes. What are high school classes? Maybe physics. That might have the right letters. Yeah, physics. 20th century genius in the field of physics. Probably Einstein. Einstein. Is that how you spell it? First name of Einstein, Albert. Two. Nickname for Albert. Al? Full name of Al on the table. Aluminium? Aluminium? Change one letter to get something wound. Kitchen product, aluminium foil. Change one letter in foil to get something round. Coil. Coil is wound. Okay. That was fucking... I don't know. I think I might actually be too dumb for the world. I think maybe it's... I think, yeah, that must have been frustrating to try and watch me understand how that worked. It was frustrating for me also. Look, I am a tired, I think I could get the hang of that with practice. Like, the first time I played the categories game, I couldn't do it at all. And now I, you know, at least 50% of the time can get, like, most of it. It's, yeah, it's, you know, it's hard. It's hard out here for a small-brained gal. It's hard out here. Alright, let's go back to some news. And then we might play some food games. And then I might go to bed. I fell asleep as soon as I got home today. I fell asleep really, really early. And luckily I woke up just before my nan called because I might have missed it. I'm so glad I got to talk to her when she like kind of knew what was going on and knew who I was and stuff. Alright, let's try.
A back street in Gaza City, the aftermath of Israel's bombardment. Checking the skies, the killing from above, indiscriminate.
A man was selling water, then a drone missile hit him. There were people walking in the street. A woman was martyred. The innocent were martyred.
The bodies mount at the nearby hospital. Palestinians here say Israel has been pounding the city's eastern districts.
Last night was a bloody night. We received around 15 martyrs and a big number of wounded, more than 20 wounded.
Uh-oh.
The apparent escalation comes ahead of a planned Israeli takeover of Gaza City, a decision condemned by the UN and members of the Security Council. International pressure on the Israeli government is growing. Australia signing a joint statement with dozens of other nations, saying suffering in Gaza has reached unimaginable levels, calling on Israel to open all crossings and routes to allow aid and provide authorization for NGOs and their shipments, as new Israeli registration requirements threaten to see foreign aid groups banned from operating. Israel described it as deeply troubling that, in its words, the Australian government doesn't speak with the same urgency about the 20 living hostages still held by Hamas. The government is also facing criticism over reports in 9 newspapers.
Because if you wanted those hostages, you would have got them almost 2 years ago. You would have got them within like a week. but that's not what you want. You want to have an excuse. If you get all the hostages home, you don't have an excuse to be doing what you're doing, and you know that there might be a military response from, the rest of the world. We might have to intervene, but because you're using this excuse, oh, we're just gonna kill like 2 million people to get back, 20 people. Isn't that a fair trade, I ask you?
That the terror group has welcomed the Prime Minister's move to recognise Palestinian statehood.
If you've got a listed terrorist organisation cheering on your foreign policy, it might be time to admit that you got it wrong.
Separately, Hamas has told the ABC it welcomes Australia's recognition of a state of Palestine.
We see recognition, making our contribution to the international progress and momentum behind this question as an important step towards a two-state solution, and Hamas will have absolutely no role in that.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejects
Shut up,
the idea
baby.
of a two-state solution.
Yeah, we know you do. You're a psycho.
He says he's now working on a comprehensive ceasefire deal. The world has heard that many times before. Tim Swanston, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Bye, Tim Swanston. Oh, do we want to talk about aliens? Are the YouTube people that like the spooky stuff, are they still around? Let's talk about aliens. Who wants to talk about aliens? Let's talk about aliens. Let's talk about all the aliens. Apparently there are 4 alien species here on Earth. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, the financial review, which I am not subscribed to, so I'm not allowed to read. But thanks. Thanks for the nose news, neighborino. Unfortunately, my nose will not be sniffing around the financial review unless I pay them money. What kind? We have to watch the video. We have to watch the video to find out about the aliens. We're through the looking glass, people. Do 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 aliens. On Wednesday, the federal opposition and Jewish groups jumped on a statement by Sheikh Hassan Youssef, sent to a journalist from the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, praising the courage of the Prime Minister's decision as a sign that Albanese, that's how we're saying it now, and Labour had played into the hands of Hamas. The following day, in an unusual step, Hamas publicly denied the statement, saying Youssef has been in an Israeli prison for almost 2 years and cut off from communicating with the outside world. Yeah, it's just probably the LNP trying to start crap. The Liberal Party, sorry, trying to start crap. Pauline Hanson trying to start crap. Whoever else trying to start crap. Everyone needs to calm down. Calm your farm. Calm your collective farms, everybody.
Well, there are 4 classifications of aliens here on.
Oh, I'm an alien. I'm from the moon.
Respected Pentagon scientists and whistleblowers in classified briefings and private briefings. We've also heard this separately in our own reporting here at Redacted, so not just from the government side.
Redacted.
Are close to alien disclosure by the U.S. government. It sure
Yes.
seems that way, with a raft of new revelations in the past few weeks.
Yep, they want to distract us. They want to distract us from the Epstein list. They want to distract us from the genocide in Gaza. They want to distract us from all of this stuff. So they're going to be like, aliens. And we're all going to go, what the fuck? Aliens. Ah. Hello, Aliana on the phone. Hello.
At a recent UFO...
May you share exciting news? You may. What is the exciting news that you wish to share? It's Dimpledore. Dimpledore's back, guys. Dimpledore is back. I was actually wondering what happened to you the other day. I was like, where's Dimpledore gone? You're gonna go to law school? Congratulations! That's awesome. That's so good. Yeah. You're gonna have to behave yourself a bit, Dimpledore, if you wanna practice law. You're gonna have to become a good boy or girl. So you can become a dirty politician. I'll give you a bit of advice. You don't need to have a law degree to be a politician. It's just that a lot of politicians happen to have law degrees, but you in fact don't need any degree to become a politician.
Hearing on Capitol Hill, physicist Dr. Eric Davis, who you can see there in the sort of tan jacket. He worked on top secret Pentagon projects. He told members of Congress under oath that there are 4 different types of aliens that have a possibility of being operators of unidentified crafts. He witnessed them perhaps firsthand and even heard from other sources at secondhand. I'm not exactly clear on that. The 4 distinct alien types that he claims.
Mountain Dew is releasing a new flavor. Did you know that there's a pregnant woman warning on Mountain Dew? If you're pregnant, you're not supposed to drink Mountain Dew because it could hurt your fetus, your baby. It could hurt your bubba. But yeah, I saw a watermelon Mountain Dew at the shops. But Mountain Dew doesn't have that much caffeine in it, but I think it's because people don't really know that it has caffeine in it, which is probably why a pregnant woman would just drink it not knowing there's caffeine in it, because you're not supposed to drink caffeine when you are having the baby. True facts. True facts. It doesn't cause abortions or miscarriages. It's just not good for the baby.
Are this Greys, Nordics, insectoids, and reptilians.
These are the types of aliens. Did we get that? There's something insects. Wait, so are all the bugs aliens? Because that's cool. I like that.
Insectoids.
It's David Icke.
And
insectoids.
And reptilians.
Reptilians.
To answer that question directly, Nordics, insectoids claims are this: Greys, Nordics, insectoids, and reptilians.
Greys, Nordics, insectoids, and reptilians. And they showed David Icke. He's our friend. We love David Icke. We love you, David Icke.
Now, he answered that question directly when Congressman Eric Burleson asked him that question. He was sitting right next to him. There you can see him.
He looks like he smelt his own fart.
Missouri Representative Eric Burleson, member of the House Oversight Committee and UAP caucus. And after this public briefing, he said that he had heard the very same thing about 4 different alien species. He was told these.
Oh, we've got a Mountain Dew conspiracy from Seb. Let's see. When they specifically make a big announcement, they focus hard on a new flavor. A big event correlates with that flavor. For example, Code Red was a few months before 9/11. Maui Burst and the Maui fires. Ooh. Pitch Black before CrowdStrike outages. Now they are focusing on a new flavor where they conducted a TED talk about it called Midnight. What's going to happen at midnight? I don't like it. Midnight sounds scary because Code Red and Midnight both sound so scary. Hello, Lily. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. I'm scared. Now I have to be scared about Mountain Dew releasing new flavors. I don't like this world. I want to get off. The only time I've ever gotten Mountain Dew is when I've been like going through the KFC drive-thru and they're like, and you see it and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try that. And you get it and you're like, okay.
Things in private briefings by other insiders. And Representative Burleson joins us again here on the show. Great to see you, Congressman. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
You know, you were sitting right next to Eric Davis. Were you stunned by what you heard when he described these 4 different classifications or species of aliens?
Yeah, I was. That it was really, to me, it was the realization that, oh, this is happening on camera. This is well, it wasn't an official hearing. And Eric Davis was not under oath, so just kind of keep that in
Thank
back
you for clarifying that. I was going to ask you that because it looked like it wasn't
Right.
He had an under oath official briefing. So thank you for class. So he didn't have to go under oath to make
and
those
that's not me suggesting that he was lying. I'm just saying that he said so under that.
Who's the tardigrade in the suit? I believe his first name is Tardy and his last name is Gardy.
Without being under oath. I have, and to your point,
I don't know, some guy on their podcast. Here's live from Washington, D.C. Here's Representative Eric Burleson, a U.S. congressman. I assume that stands for Missouri? Missouri? MO? Is that Missouri? Montana? Montana, Missouri, I don't know. It's an MO state. I don't know. They have too many states. They should sort out their lives. Montana, Missouri. What else could it be? Minnesota. No, it won't be Minnesota. Montana, Missouri. I don't know. It's one of those.
With individuals not in a classified setting where they brought up the four distinct classifications of aliens. Not that I believe it. I have yet to see any evidence that is the case, but it is.
Man, I kind of want to believe that aliens are real because it's a convenient explanation for a lot of things. Sometimes I think like people being assholes is like a worse situation. MO is Missouri? Yeah. I think that's where Brad Pitt is from. Don't ask me how I know that. Nothing, you know, just reading things.
You know, there's common tropes that you hear from the UAP community, and that is one of them.
So I want to go through these four. Let's start the grays. We have some. We don't have actual photos. I wish we did, Congressman, but these are, you know, I guess artist renditions of what we, you know.
Ooh.
The Nordics as well.
Does that mean all Swedish people are aliens? Is that what they're saying? Nordic people are alien? I know that's not what they're saying. They're just like giant, tall, blonde people. Maybe. Well, oh. This reminds me of like why Hitler was so obsessed with the occult, right? And he had like his little occult branch called the Tool of like the Nazis. He was obsessed with like Aryan people because he was also obsessed with like the branch of aliens called like the Nordic aliens. And he was like trying to get like super alien DNA or whatever, but like breeding like blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. Apparently, that's a conspiracy theory. That's not, you know, from a verified source. This is just like from all the weird conspiracy videos that I watch on YouTube when I'm bored. Because, Livewire is also mid because it just tastes like Sunkist. Oh, yeah, it's made by the same company though, right? It's made by PepsiCo because, yeah, I love Sunkist. Have you tried Sunkist Zero? It tastes the same as normal Sunkist. I was very impressed. I thought the lady at KFC gave me the wrong drink because it didn't taste like a zero sugar drink. And look, if I'm already getting all those calories from KFC, I don't need like an extra few hundred calories because of my drink, okay? I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. You're literally drinking Sunkist Zero right now. How good is it? It's so good. It tastes like you can't even tell that it doesn't have sugar.
These are, you can read many instances of this. Insectoids. This is
insectoids
of what people have claimed they look like.
Ooh, reptilians.
David
Icke was right. David Icke was right.
The reptilians angle on this for decades. He's been out there saying that reptilians have been actively involved in basically running things. People have called him a kook for it, but he's stood firm in this for decades and says he doesn't care what you think of him. He knows. I just got to ask you, first of all, have you ever spoken to David Icke about this? He seems to really be an expert in that level of it.
I've not. In fact, until just now, I have not heard of his name.
Lies. Remember during COVID when they banned David Icke from YouTube? Sometimes when I was bored or whatever, and I would just put on like a 10-hour lecture from David Icke and just be like, whoa. And then when my friend from Sydney came to live with me for a year, she like came down to Melbourne and got a job and she was like gonna move out and get her own place, but she never did. That's a different story. But I made her sit there for 10 hours and watch a David Icke lecture. And then she was like, oh my God, what have you done? She's like, what have you done to me? She's like, now I want to watch more conspiracies. And I'm like, yes, come to the dark side. Come to the dark side. I used to make everybody that I met, like, watch David Icke lectures. And now they're not on the interwebs anymore. I mean, they probably are somewhere. But, like, you know.
Contact with him.
Aliens, Tool, Hitler, Orange Strings. Look, I have ADHD, okay? I can't focus on anything.
I'm happy to listen to him. I will listen to anyone. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to believe everything that everybody says. But look, in the search for this truth, I think that you can't really close any doors. And so that's why I'm heads down pursuing this with every kind of spare moment that I've got. Of course, we're in August recess. I just spent half the day fundraising, spent the other half of the day going to district events. And we just have full schedules.
Nobody cares. Talk about the aliens, sir. I don't want to hear about how hard you work for your shield dollars from the government, okay? I don't care about your shilling. I care about the aliens, sir. I want to hear about the aliens. We're here for the aliens, please. Fundraising for APAC? Probably Catzilla, probably.
But every moment that I have free, if I have a free moment, I'm focused on this effort.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I really honor that. And this is not me blowing smoke, but I really think
it is. You love him. Kissy, kissy.
Like you can think whatever you want. Most of our audience is pretty awake. We got a few people that are like, "What, aliens? This is real." Like, you know, they'll come around eventually at some point. But most of our audience understands this, and I think, and they know that the government has been lying to us. And I think that's at the heart of this. And we as taxpayers have been funding this, whether at the
It's pretty narcissistic to think that we're the only intelligent life in the entire universe. Like, in the vastness of space, of the ever-expanding space, the ever-expanding universe, like, surely, you know, the same, like, chemicals have crashed together and formed amino acids and then, like, formed life. Even if it doesn't look like us, right? Maybe it's followed a different trajectory, and maybe that's why there's reptilians, right? Because there was no extinction level event. And, you know, because mammals were able to gain a foothold on Earth because the sun was blocked out for years. And obviously reptiles, they're not, they're cold-blooded animals, right? But, yeah, I think, you know, whether or not, aliens have come here. I don't know why they would, honestly, because if they're smart enough to have mastered interplanetary travel, they probably would just look at us the same way that kids look at an anthill, right? They would probably just be like, whatever, let's keep on going. Like, why would they care? You'll be honest, you can be convinced on any of these topics aside from the climate. It should be able to sustain life. Yeah.
Pentagon or other places where they've got trillions of dollars that have gone missing.
There's water on Mars aside from the climate. It should be able to sustain life. Well, Godzilla, I think there was life on Mars. I think there was life on Mars before it lost its atmosphere. That's when it lost most of its oceans. It used to look very similar to Earth. And look, there's a lot of structures on Mars that look like they were man-made. They do. And obviously, you know, the human brain wants to see patterns. The human brain wants to form straight lines. The human brain wants to see faces and things. And that's why, you know, oftentimes we, you know, we'll think that we've seen a face and blah, 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 because our brain likes to form things that are familiar to us. But I do think, because we know, right? We know that Mars used to be covered in oceans when it had an atmosphere. And it had continents, and it had, you know, all of these things, right? And that's why people want to terraform Mars, right? That's why people want to remagnetize, like, the poles, do all that stuff, terraform Mars, and be able to go and live there again. I mean, Who knows? Maybe people are from Mars. Maybe that's where we originated. Maybe that's why we all have back pain, because we're not supposed to be in this type of gravity. I've heard that theory before. But then I spoke to someone really smart that's a friend of mine, and they debunked all of it. And I was like, no, I want to be from Mars. Why do you have to ruin it? I just think conspiracy theories are fun, you know. I just think they're fun. Fun times.
That Americans have worked hard every day to send our taxes to the United States government, and they're spending it on things that we're not allowed to know about. And as members of Congress, you're not allowed to know about. I just find it incredibly infuriating.
It is, absolutely. And I share that frustration and really an anger, because it's not just the UAP phenomenon, it's actually much broader. When you look at the fact that we're just now getting, and it's been trickling in, information about the JFK assassination. It took, 70 years for the CIA to finally be honest about some of the things that happened, and they're still not fully honest about what happened.
It was Mossad, dun, 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 because JFK was going to change the laws around lobbying and make Israel register as a foreign agent. And they didn't want to do that because apparently Israel is the only country that doesn't have to declare like that they're, foreign agents when they're lobbying. They don't have to register. Everybody else has to. Pew, pew, pew. That's what they did. Follow the money, guys. Follow the money.
And their involvement there. People are still wanting to know what happened with Epstein. And all of these other conspiracies, at the end of the day, the American people are sick.
I'll find what it's called, hyperbovian, because I can't remember off the Foreign Registration Act. No, not in Australia. Foreign Agents Registration Act. And then it became something else after that. So FARA is the one that JFK wanted to include Israel. It requires foreign agents to find as individuals or entities engaged in domestic advocacy, domestic lobbying or advocacy for foreign governments, organizations, or persons, foreign principals to register with the Department of Justice and disclose their relationship, activities, and related financial compensation. What's the new one called? Revision 1995, 1966 revision. Anyway, the only country this act doesn't pertain to is Israel because they pew 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 pew. They pew-pewed JFK.
Sick and tired of this government thinking
back to the aliens
than the American people on these topics, and they're withholding information. And it really kind of drives at the question: do we own the government, or does the government own us? Does the CIA are they responsible to elected officials and to the people, or the intelligence community? They're responsible to the taxpayers, the ones that are paying their salaries and their bills, and that's why it's infuriating to me if we're not able to get a hold of these things and bring some level of transparency back to the American people.
Among these private meetings you've had, and you don't have to tell tales out of school if you don't want to, but when we talk about these 4 different species of aliens, what to you has been the most eye-opening, sort of jaw-dropping? You're a guy from Missouri. Like, I don't know that this is something you would normally hear, and what's like the most jaw-dropping thing that you've heard, maybe in private, in these conversations with people who've been insiders working on these Pentagon programs, alien programs, reverse engineering programs? What shocked you to your core?
Right, and what I've learned is, Clayton, I unfortunately have to preface this with I don't necessarily espouse these beliefs. I'm just
I don't believe you.
Told by other people,
right?
And the common tropes that I hear that really kind of are shocking are that people are able to, through some form of mental exercise.
Hello, comrade Rice Dude. What's up yourself? What's up? What's up? What's up? BitConnect. Boom.
Be able to call in UAP, non-human intelligence. There are events or people that have come to my office and had active, discussions. In fact, I told one of them, I just called their bluff and said, all right, if you can do it, let's go do it right now. Let's go outside and you can call in a UAP and I'll call, and if it comes down, that'll make national news, right? Sadly, that did not happen. So, but that is probably one of the more shocking things is the number of people that tell me that they're able to use their consciousness to be able to call in some kind of craft. And sometimes
these are the people that smoke DMT. This is Joe Rogan and his mates. Hang on. I've seen all these weird chicks on like the internet and they're like, I think they just have schizophrenia and they're like going blah, 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 and they're like saying that they're talking to aliens and they're channeling the aliens. I was like, why would the aliens talk to you? Are the aliens as brain dead as you? Why did they choose you? Why did they choose you to be able to communicate with them? I think you took too many drugs and fried your brain, sweetie. I think that's what happened. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Sometimes these people Let's go. Oh, what do they call it? Channeling, embodying? The thing people do with the vivid daydreaming? Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just crazy chicks. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them on the internet that say like they're just like doing the same thing that like the fake Christians do when they speak in tongues, like and they're like, oh, it's the aliens. They're talking to me. It's like, okay, all right. Have we taken our antipsychotics today? How much weed have you smoked, babe? How much LSD have you done in your life? Can we check in with that and kind of assess what type of drug-induced psychosis or permanent brain damage you've done to yourself? Because I reckon that might be the root of the problem. I would say that would be my guess.
profess to be Christians, some are not, which is interesting. The whole religious aspect just really keeps coming up in this topic. And so it really almost seems inescapable from spirituality and religion.
Yeah, I know that's something that friend of the show, Tucker Carlson, he and I have talked about this at length, is the idea of the religious side of this, the angel side of this, and all of that. you know, and I will say that the sort of the telepathy.
The Christian perspective is that like aliens are demons, right? And like there's some people that say that they've been like abducted by aliens, or when they've like called out Jesus's name, the aliens have gone away. So some like Christians are heaps into it. But if we did see an angel or a demon, maybe we would think they were aliens. I mean, biblical angels and biblical demons sound bloody scary.
Aspect of this story that you've been hearing is repeated countless times by people who've been in the secret space program, who are whistleblowers who've come forward in the secret space program. One of the reasons they've been chosen to be a part of the secret space program is because of that telepathy ability. Like they're at a higher level of consciousness. We've had U.S. Air Force.
Oh yeah, apparently like DARPA and the CIA and stuff like that have used, like, there are supposedly people that have this like gift called remote viewing, and they can like travel somewhere geographically in their mind, and they can tell, like, they get given some coordinates and they travel there in their mind and tell like DARPA and the CIA what's there, and they can find like underground bases and explain exactly what they look like, and they're just like normal people. And then there's obviously like stuff like MK Ultra and stuff like that. Like it's all yeah, it's I don't know. Like I do think the human mind is capable of a lot of like creepy stuff, but the fallen angels bred with humans. The CIA's got that telepath training. I think they do. I think, well, we know that they do, right? Because there's declassified stuff about MK Ultra and all the weird stuff they did with those types of people. And there's declassified stuff, declassified documents about like remote viewing and how they were like trying to get people to like astrally project and remote view and like looking at even things on other planets and things like that. It's all very bizarre. But I mean, who's to say that that's not possible? Like, I'm not going to be the person that says that. It does sound pretty far-fetched, but I mean, I'm sure the internet, you know, sounded very far-fetched to our grandparents, and now their grandkids are just on it all bloody day. So, oh, good night, Joey. I'm going to probably finish up for the night after this video because I am pretty pooped. It's been a long day, and tomorrow's Friday. Friday.
Whistleblowers on our show who were part of the secret space program, who've been to the moon base. You know, you can believe it or not, but you know, it's sort of up to people to make their own decisions about this.
I want to go to the moon base.
Got to hear on this, Congressman. I'm disturbed by. So you sat next to a Pentagon scientist, well-respected Pentagon scientist, who is telling you to your face that there are 4 classifications of aliens. He's either seen them or has had contact. You've had private conversations with individuals who've confirmed the same thing as a member of Congress. And then YouTube puts up a disclaimer under that hearing's video. So I just want to put this. And this, I think, speaks to how they they try to downplay this stuff, and whether it's deep state actors or whomever is involved, the CIA, and they put this little.
Yeah, I say hello to my CIA agent every morning, Catzilla. I'm like, hey, how you going, love? Hope you enjoy the view. You know.
Disclaimer underneath videos where you're not allowed to tell the truth, and it says reptilian humanoid, Wikipedia. Reptilian humanoids, also known as reptiloids, they're from mythology. They're folklore, Congressman. They're science fiction, and they're part of modern conspiracy theories. Like, this is YouTube putting a disclaimer underneath a sitting member of Congress interviewing a Pentagon scientist. Like, what's your take on how the media handles this stuff?
You know, I'm okay with that. I'll say this one thing, and then I'll go kind of jump back to this question. There are moments when I get misquoted or kind of, and that's why I'm a little bit more guarded today. I get misquoted all the time, and people kind of jump to things. One of the things right now that's like going around the internet is that, in fact, the articles from Esquire and all these come from an interview where I was asked point blank, do I believe that giants once existed, connecting Nephilim and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, as a Christian who's read the Bible, who knows the story of David and Goliath, who knows the story of the book of Exodus, where they encountered what is described as giants, I had to say, yes, I do believe that was probably the case because I believe the Bible. Now,
but every single culture has like stories of like dragons, or even like indigenous Australians have like the rainbow serpent, right? So like giant lizards, obviously the Chinese and the East Asian people have like dragons, but their dragons are more associated with like water. And obviously the Europe has like, you know, the fire breathing dragon, which is essentially just like a dinosaur that can breathe fire. But like there are so many things that every culture has like their own version of it, and that's really interesting. Like how many cultures have the Younger Dryas story of like the Great Flood, and now like geologists have pretty much found like indisputable proof that there was just all of a sudden this big giant global flood. And that was, you know, that was like Gilgamesh, that was in the Bible, that was like people in South America had that legend, people in Australia, like people from all over the world had that legend, right? About the global floods. Western and Eastern legends have a different perspective of dragons. Yeah. In Europe, they're very much like a dinosaur that breathes fire, whereas I know in East Asia, or from what I've like seen in a lot of like Korean and Chinese stuff that I watch, they seem to be more like associated with the element of water. Yeah, dragons are really lucky. I know because my brother was born in the year of the dragon, and he kept on telling me how lucky it was. I'm like, okay. And because my dad has a lot of Chinese friends, and they would say, you know, how lucky the year, like whatever the particular combination of like dragon and whatever else. I'm a tiger, which suits me. I think being born in the year of the tiger really suits me. Rawr. Because I love cats. Cats are the best.
So, you know, the internet just kind of goes on a tirade about things like that. That being said, going back to this topic, when I was sitting there with Eric Davis, who is a Pentagon scientist, you know, worked with the CIA, and he's saying these things, he has to understand the level of credibility that he brings to this topic.
Thank you for following. No means yes.
And seriousness. And the question at hand is it true? If it's true, it's shocking. And then if it's not true, that's also shocking, because if it's not true, then the question is, why are we receiving a disinformation campaign from people that are former military, government employees, former members of the intelligence community that are repeating the same narrative? And if it's not true, then we have to ask the question, why are we allowing our government to lie to us?
Right. Yeah, and we're paying for it if that's the case.
Yes.
Well, we know from Richard Dolan, we know the campaigns back in the day to make all of us look nutty by talking about UFOs and calling us conspiracy nuts and everything else. So I wouldn't put it past them. But at this level, with these insiders and these...
yeah, it could be a psyop. It could 100% be a psyop and just a distraction. But then, I mean, it could also not be. But, you know, the timing, you always have to look at the timing of these things. But, look, I think there's a lot of stuff out there that we don't understand. And, it could all be true, but the timing of it is suspicious. And maybe it is true, but they're also just doing this at the moment to distract us from Epstein and distract us from everything else, Gaza, everything else that's going on in the world. So, you know, take it with a massive grain of salt.
These individuals who've lost everything and had their lives destroyed by coming forward and telling the truth about it, it just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't pass the smell test at all. And by the way, also that Earth, that you and I are it. Like, this is it. Like, I just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. We are the highest level civilization, and I just don't buy that at all. Congressman, great to see you. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, Congressman, that I'm definitely in the camp that believes in giants. In fact, Timothy Alberino, who's a great researcher,
Alberino,
Christian writer, he's going to be in our studio in a few weeks, and we're going to do a deep dive on all of his archaeology on the giants, the corpse.
Yeah, apparently the Smithsonian has apparently they found giants in North America when white people first settled it. They found all these giant skeletons, and they sent them down to the Smithsonian, and then when they got there, the Smithsonian were like, "What giants?" Don't know if that's true, but that's the legend. That is the legend. I watch way too much random crap on YouTube, guys. My brain is gonna fall out.
And the skeletons that they found. So this is a safe space, Congressman.
Okay, good.
This is a safe space.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a very close personal friend now of Timothy Alberino, and it's happened because of this topic. The two of us have become acquainted over the last 3 years since the Grush hearing, and so yeah. I think that as a Christian, he has really kind of pulled together a lot of things related to ancient civilization and the Bible.
Oh no, it's aliens, bro.
A different perspective on this topic, on the UAP topic.
Worlds colliding. In fact, yeah, that's incredible. So you probably know a lot more about his positions on this than even I do. So, Congressman, great to see you. Thank you so much for this, and please don't be a stranger. I mean, as this committee hearings go on, and more revelations are brought to the table, please bring them to our show, and we'll share them with the world. And all the naysayers out there will have to eat crow. Looking forward to that.
Anytime you want me to come on, I'll be.
The only bird I'm eating is KFC, the dirty bird. Okay, I don't want to eat any other type of bird. Disgusting. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Oh. And also Korean fried chicken, because that's delicious. Oh, and also Japanese fried chicken. I do like karaage. It's really nice. Well, actually, maybe just all the fried chickens in the world. They can all get in my mouth. Yum, 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 yum. Anyway, guys. I am so tired. I am so completely tired. So, let's probably call this stream. I honestly don't have the energy for anything else. But we'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday night, guys. It's quite positive. We've only got one more day to get through, and then we're done. We're home. We have the weekend. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. I appreciate it. See you next time. Bye. Well,